Hey guys, and welcome back to another Conan Exiles video. Today we are in the Exiled Lands in map square L7, building a swamp fort. This build is designed to be a small fort for a couple of clan members in a very rustic and salvaged design and atmosphere. This build is mostly built without mods save for a couple of fire decorations in the furnishing phase. If you'd like to see them anyway, the full list of mods and their load order can be seen, as usual, in the pinned comment below. As usual, this video is indeed sponsored by NordVPN. You can get 68% off a 2-year deal plus a month free when you visit nordvpn.org/eradYT or use code eradYT at checkout. Stick around till the end of the video to learn more about how to browse the internet safely and securely with NordVPN. So, without further ado, let's get started. Firstly, I started off with, of course, the base plate. I built inside this small lake, building a pathway of flotsam foundations around the build. I'll be aiming for a 2-tiered build, with walkways on the bottom to take advantage of its placement on the lake, and rooms on pillars sitting above the water, keeping the build fairly connected to the environment on the ground floor pathways. I chose to use flotsam mainly just for the looks, though you could easily replace flotsam with stone, wood or whatever tier 2 or 3 building material you want to use, it's pretty much just personal preference. Next, I built up some of those rooms on the pillars over the water features. I built the pillars 3 tiles high for the first 2 buildings, using flotsam pillars and ceilings to hold the rooms. I built 2 3-tile high rooms in the centre of the build, along with a smaller, narrow 2-tile high room on the right side of the taller rooms. I also built a 2-pillar high room on the circular section, and extended the base plate out on either side for a bit more room on the ground floor. Next, I started off on the walls. I built perimeter walls around the entire base plate 1 tile high, using flotsam fence foundations to create small veranda sections that allow you to look out of the build at the surrounding swamp. I also built up the walls of the pillar rooms in a very simple fashion, along with also building walls on the left and right ground floor sections. I made rooms out of these 2 side sections, but in the furnishing phase I would remove these rooms and instead make partial rooms for workstations, but you will see that in a short while. With this build, I think that flotsam's actually grown on me a bit. I didn't really like the material too much the first few times I experimented with it, and I think I'm still kind of held back by the fact it is a tier 1 material, it's not really that practical. However, I think the actual design of the pieces works quite well for this build and suits this environment quite well, even if it wouldn't really hold up in a PvP or PvE setting. Next, for the roofs. I used Flotsam roof pieces for some really simple, easy roof designs across all of the structures. I just basically followed the flow of each roof. I also used inverted roof wedges to create accents underneath the roof of the circular room, along with across the bottom of the houses on the pillars, though I would later choose to remove these wedges and replace them with Flotsam roof pieces, to create sort of a pseudo roof that actually helps to add a lot to the atmosphere on the ground floor of the build. You'll see some fairly big changes to the build between construction and furnishing, not anything affecting the core architecture, but it will mainly affect the aforementioned roof pieces and the entranceway to the build. Finally, when the shell of the build was done, it was then time to, of course, furnish. Approaching the build, I've constructed a huge entrance gateway, and lit the build with hanging and wall braziers. Entering the build, the roof pieces I mentioned placing earlier create some nice weather covers on top of the build. It does make things look a tad too busy in some areas, namely near the entrance, but it looks really good in the centre of the build and adds a lot to the atmosphere. On the right side of the build we have a metal workshop, where things can be smelted and smithed together. In the central circular building, this room is a small shrine to the Serpent Men, filled with statues of their forms. On the left side of the build is another workshop area for tanning, woodwork and just general tinkering. Heading up to the elevated rooms, the first is a sort of lounge and dining room area. I've decorated this all in a very rustic way, and I think it works really nicely for this build. Heading across the small bridge, this is a kitchen and recreation area. I was a bit restricted on space in this room, but it does the job. In retrospect, I think having this room a little bit bigger might have allowed for some more interesting designs, but it is what it is. Finally, we have the bedroom. This is a very narrow room, but manages to feel quite comfortable as a place of rest. And there we have it, a swamp base in the Exiled Lands in map square L7. Thanks for watching. This was a fairly spur of the moment build that I changed and adapted my ideas for a couple of times, but I think it came out quite nicely. It is a tad too busy in some areas, especially with those Flotsam sun covers, but overall I think it's a pretty nice build with a really good atmosphere. As I mentioned earlier, this video is indeed sponsored by NordVPN. If you want to stay safe on the internet and ensure you can't be tracked by shady individuals, all whilst being able to access Netflix, BBC iPlayer, ITV, Hulu, HBO and more regardless of where you live, all whilst maintaining blazing fast internet speeds, NordVPN is the perfect choice for you. When you use my link or discount code, you can get 68% off a 2-year deal, which comes out to $3.71 a month, an absolute bargain price for such a great service that I use almost every day. The software is a small download and it's easy to use. One click and you're both connected and protected, and you have full access to the internet. Nord also has very strict policies on protecting your data, meaning you can browse in confidence. Visit nordvpn.org/eradyt or use code eradyt at checkout to claim this huge discount and get the best VPN service available on the internet, and also help me out a lot at the same time. As always, thanks to Nord for sponsoring the video. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like and let me know in the comments below if you have any build suggestions for future videos. As usual, absolutely anything is welcome. Don't forget to both follow me on Twitch and join the fun on our Discord through the links in the description. Again, don't forget you can get 68% off NordVPN when you use code eradyt at checkout, or you can go through my affiliate link in the description and pinned comment below. YouTube is currently my full-time source of income, so if you enjoy the content and would like to help support the channel so I can continue to put out the best content possible, do consider becoming a patron. There are multiple tiers of support from $1 to $20, offering many different benefits from a mention in every video to Discord roles, and even sneak peeks of every new video before anyone else. The link to my Patreon is in the description, so if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to consider becoming a patron. On that note, a thanks to our current patrons Sammy, Sir Dialot, Randar, MK Pantheon, Sergeant Swede, and Shannara. If you're new here, feel free to check out the rest of the content on the channel. There are new Conan Exiles videos coming every Wednesday and Sunday, so if you like what you see, subscribe and ring the notification bell to be the first to see the next video, and to join us on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.